So, hi, this is Cameo with the Sisterhood of Sensuality, and today is interview number 2. I'm super excited to be bringing women on that we can really be discussing the power of falling in love with who we are as women and our sensual expression of the divine feminine. And so today I have Jennilynn, and she is going to be we're going to be talking back and forth. I found her through this beautiful book called Breast Easy, and we're actually co-authors. And so your chapter is chapter 8, and it is titled A Model Wears Her Breast Wild. And I absolutely loved reading your chapter to see the perspective of like the beauty industry of what is expected. And I thought that was so beautiful that you kind of shared your journey with wanting to be a model and being in this space of having that body type or feeling like you needed this certain body type, and how you got to a space of just completely loving who you were as a divine, beautiful woman. So can you kind of share a little bit about your journey when it comes to your breast, and why you kind of felt like you wanted to share this story with the world?
Absolutely. So it's kind of been a roller coaster ride, and definitely a journey for sure. As I kind of, talked about in the book, I actually experienced some over sexualization really at a very early age. With my own family members. So just going through some sexual abuse, having a Brazilian bikini purchased for me at the age of 7. So just trying to figure out my body and, my self-worth, and what I'm on this planet for has been a really interesting journey, because for a very long time, all I thought I was good for was my body. And, my parents put me into acting and modeling stuff when I was really young. And actually they took me to my first audition when I think I was about 5, and they said I cried the entire time. So nothing much really happened at that point. But then later on, I started doing more runway shows, and sometimes they were fun, photo shoots and things like that. And sometimes they were a lot of fun, and I felt like, okay, well, I have this height, I have this beauty, maybe I should use it. But between all of the pressures and, just all of the things that are thrown at you, and you have to look this way or not look that way, or especially in my adolescent years, being too tall to model children's clothes, but not tall enough or old enough to model juniors or preteen clothes. It was like I was always never good enough, but then always too much. It was this very recurring theme that happened in my life, both in the industry, especially too, because my natural build is muscular, right? Like I had to work really hard not to have muscle. So I had to do a lot of Pilates and cardio, and couldn't lift a lot of weights just to try to keep the muscles off, because really the thing with the industry, especially with high fashion modeling, is for the clothes to basically look like they're hanging off you. So ideally to be teeny tiny, size 0, size 2, size 3, 4 at the most, has been a thing in that industry for a very long time. And so really becoming a mom changed a lot for me, especially after I had my 3rd child a few years ago. He was born in 2009. And then also finding some really amazing tools through a body of work called Access Consciousness. So I've been a personal growth junkie my entire life, going to seminars, listening to tapes, cassette tapes back when they were still around, CDs, going to workshops, just different things to see how I could better myself and grow and become a better person and have a greater impact on myself and actually on other people in the world. Partly just because I think that's how I'm motivated and driven as a person. And then the other part to that too is like, I was always told, your energy affects the entire room. Everybody knows when you walk in, you need to figure that out and not be such an effect on the room. But nobody ever explained to me what that meant. So I really had to kind of figure that out. And I think through my personal growth journey, and then more specifically through using these amazing tools through Access Consciousness, I've just grown to kind of love the skin that I'm in adore my body, adore my breasts, right? They're the first part of our bodies that enter a room, really. So to wear them proudly and love the size that they are, because I always wanted bigger breasts when I was younger. I wanted big breasts like my mom. And that never really happened except when I was pregnant and breastfeeding and they got really big. But that actually started to hurt my back a lot. And so I'm really grateful that my body is smarter than I am and knew what size breasts would actually work for me. And just learning to really love all of my imperfections. So coming out of the modeling world when everything has to be perfect and everything has to be right, and you really don't have a career if you're not, to loving my teeth that aren't perfectly straight anymore. So I used to always get compliments on how beautiful and perfect and straight my teeth are. You can see they're kind of crooked now, and I just figured out actually last year, because I couldn't figure out what had happened, from the dentist, that I actually developed a tongue thrust that has been slowly pushing my teeth forward, which is what made them imbalanced. And I was given the option to go to speech therapy and then have my teeth fixed. And I went, you know what? No, I'm not going to. And I have a little bit of a lisp sometimes. And I used to make videos all the time, and I stopped making them for a very long time because I was embarrassed because I wasn't perfect and I wasn't getting it just right. And we can find so much beauty in all of those little imperfections. And I think that those little imperfections are what make us actually truly beautiful from the inside out and are what makes life even more worth living. So cellulite, boobs aren't, huge, teeth, whatever it might be, just super grateful to be on this planet and to be alive and to be a woman. And I'm a lot happier now when I'm not constantly judging myself and judging my body, and my body's happier too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that. I love that you share, like, our body has its own consciousness, right? It's not just our mind. It's like our body wants us to connect to the beauty of us being on this planet, and she has a voice too, and she wants us to love her and embrace her. And even like in part of in your chapter, you speak about the loving your breast to be touched, like during your sexual connection time, but also loving just to touch them yourself, right? And to like hold them and to embrace them. And I just thought that was so beautiful, because as women, like, I really gave this a lot of thought, like, how often do we touch our breasts or any part of our body with some type of love? And that is our intention, is to love ourselves and to love that part of what we're touching, instead of let's touch our breast out of fear to check for lumps, or like, we can actually be touching our breasts out of love, that we love them. And this is like our heart space, and it's such a beautiful space. And our breasts are nurturers, but they're also energy of the divine feminine, right? And so when we can like love them ourselves too, and like touch them and rub them without over sexualizing them ourselves as well. Like, I really gave this thought. Like, I couldn't breastfeed any of my babies just because I was so connected to my breast in a sexual way. Like, I couldn't see them as nurturers and as providers, like, for my babies. I seen them as a sexual object because, I had 6 brothers. I was the youngest. I just heard a lot of sexualization my whole life, and so I could never really connect to them as the beautiful feminine expression that they are. I always connected to them as a sexual expression. So when you shared that chapter too, that part in your chapter, I thought, yes, like, it's just, we're an over sexualized, breast obsessed nation, right? So,
Absolutely. Even if you just look at the whole controversy over women being socially acceptable to be half dressed, but not to breastfeed in public. Like, it's something that should be done in private. Like, there's this huge controversy that's out there, and it's insane. Like, all of these lies that are perpetuated onto us, and all of these things that, are really easy to take on. And then we kind of internalize them and battle with them within ourselves, and they're not even true for us. So yeah, it's just that like our bodies love to be touched and nurtured and cared for, just like a baby. A baby literally, if it goes too many days without being touched and held, will die. And we don't necessarily lose that just because we become adults, you know, just that gentle caress and that loving touch and just that thank you and that gratitude and thank you for being here is a huge gift.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to ask one thing. If you were in a group of women, say, you know, there's like 5 to 10 women, and you just wanted to share one nugget, like one piece of something that would just assist these women in feeling more connected and more empowered and more beautiful in who they are as a divine feminine being, what would that one thing, what would that be for you to share with other women?
It's kind of twofold, but it's one. So I would really say, like, really relearn or remember to be kind of like a curious 5-year-old and ask questions from a very open place and space without looking for the answer, and really ask those questions of your body. Like, body, how can I contribute to you today? What would be the most loving thing I could do for you today? You know, what would you like to wear? What would you like to eat? What foods would light you up? Like, really developing a communion with your body rather than separating from it and judging it and having it be something that you kind of have to fix or figure out or make bad or wrong. Like, really developing that communion through asking questions and being kind.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful. I love that. I love the power of a question, right? Because it really like does awaken us to awareness of like, oh, do I really believe that to be true? Or, you know, am I really just unconscious in my day-to-day activities? And like when we ask a question, it like spikes our awareness of like, that's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to share. And so if people feel drawn to finding more out about you or what you're doing or how to connect to you, what is the best way for them to go about doing that?
Well, they can always definitely connect with me on Facebook under Jennilynn Coley, and or they can go to my website for my energetic healing practice. It's accessyourgenius.com.
Oh, awesome. That's so great. So I will put those links with the video when it is posted so they would have direct access to that. And I'm so very grateful that you have like shared this piece in this book, and that you're just empowering yourself as a woman and loving that sensual aspect of who you are. I think as women, we really can shut down the sensual piece of who we are, not just the sexual piece, right? Like, I think there's kind of a difference there, and the sensual connection of, like you were saying, what do you want to wear and what do you want to eat, and how can I just be more connected to this beautiful divine feminine space of who I am and all I get to be, is so powerful. So I'm so happy that you are on that journey and you're sharing your story and you're sharing your energy with all of us sensual sisters. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we will end this call, and thank you again so much, and we will stay in touch.